that's where sort of demonstrating a long-term capital plan.
If you can do that, has to be done.
We want to do something different.
You got 3 minutes.
And so they're talking about that.
And is that the board getting my
Conceptually, well, I just
speak to them for 3 minutes? But like I said, if you really want to get into the presentation.
one thing I like about Jennifer,
Usually
is she's kind of new to calculation. And so, still, my question is, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? How would I know to do this? That's the great problem, because we're actually helping, for some of our software, it's just another vendor. Yeah, well,
not only what you're trying to do, but we would use a lot of it. It's hard for me to say much.
So we were talking. One thing she would like to do, she would like to that's where we kind of go.
I think the farmers left unhappy with that. They didn't get anything that they wanted, but
How would I do that? So that was no give or take or whatever. But she wanted to know.
They have what they needed.
So I can
there would be give and take for what I can. We did the hearing, but then they have to swear in the arms of truth. So I was amazed when I saw the picture of the car.
We've got the demo model.
John, the guy that had to use
approaches you were having to do. Yeah, what do you think that you look at? Very well. It's good to be here. That we're invited. Mr. Goulet, yeah. Good to see you.
I presented to you one before. Yes, sir.
You never come.
No. I've got a forgettable family.
I don't have a
Those who feel surprised, it's never a good idea, especially at the same time. Well, the yeah, no, yeah, and the one piece right. But that's why I was saying, what's the highest now yes, sir, I would tell you, then you know the work, then you know the yeah. There's a horse. I would mention it. Yeah. Well, I should have been watching. Yeah. That's great. There's no reason everyone's urgent. Yeah. I think it's where rates are right now. Pretty big. Yeah, a little bit for a fraction.
Bobby Williams.
How would you? I thought. Yeah,
That's not a lot.
I'll call this meeting to order. Tonight, the invocation will be done by Commissioner Albright and Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Wilkins. Commissioner Albright.
Bow your heads with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today to ask for guidance as we work for our city. Help us to listen to one another with open hearts. We pray for our city's well-being and for all of those of us that call Creedmoor home. Amen.
We stand for pledge of allegiance, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're going to deviate from our agenda just a little bit. One of our commissioners, Commissioner Way, is unable to attend tonight, and we want to excuse his absence before roll call. So I'll entertain a motion to excuse Commissioner Way.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Motion is made by Commissioner Wilkins. Any discussion? All right, not hearing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0. Madam Clerk, if you'll make a note that his absence was excused, and do roll call, please.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Present.
Commissioner Albright.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gleason.
Here.
Commissioner Kuczynski. And Mayor Wilbur.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, is there any additions or subtractions that need to be made on the agenda?
Make a motion the agenda be approved as written.
All right, we have a motion by the Mayor Pro Tem to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0. All right, let's skip right on down, I guess, to public comment.
Consent agenda.
Consent agenda.
Oh, I kinda threw that in with all the rest of it. All right, motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Wilkins. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. 4-0. Yeah, I kinda figured we did the whole thing, we'd include that one too. All right, public comment, have we got any?
That would be a negative unless anybody would like to speak. And then speaking for the public hearings also, anybody here? No, we're good, okay, you're good, sir.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, let's see, let's get that done. No public comment. Old business, 9A, continuation of public hearing, SUP 2025-01, which is the Zinc House Brewery conditions. I will remind the board that this is a public hearing that is continued from the previous meeting.
Thank you, Mayor Wheeler. Unfortunately, Dallas Baker, our city planner, fell sick this morning and with nausea and stomach complications, and he is totally unable to be with us this evening, so I'll be presenting on his behalf or making opening remarks. The July 15th, 2025 evidentiary public hearing was continued to August the 5th, 2025 meeting. This allowed the applicant and the Community Development Department staff the opportunity to finalize the conditions of the special use permit and for the applicant to sign off prior to the board's actions this evening. This is the last piece of evidence to be added to the record. Only minor changes were made by the city attorney, and the handout in front of you shows those two items that are highlighted. That's the only changes in what you received in your agenda package last Thursday. This was finalized just yesterday morning. So those two paragraphs were reworded, and the applicant accepted all those changes. So there were only two. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the mayor to continue the public hearing and for further board action.
All right. At this time, would assume we need to close the public hearing?
That's right.
Okay. All right, at this time, we'll close the public hearing, and we will move on. Is there any questions or comments from anybody on the board? All right, at this time, I'm going to request a motion to approve SUP 2025-01 and grant a special use permit with conditions as specified.
Motion to approve SUP 2025-01 and grant a special use permit with conditions as specified.
All right, motion is made by Commissioner Wilkins. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And Mr. Mayor, I would also suggest, this is not included in the agenda package, but I would suggest that the board move to approve the written decision and authorize the mayor to sign it, so we file the technical kind of formality that is required by the general statutes. You approve the special use permit, and then you also have to approve the written decision. And I believe the written decision is what's included in the agenda package that includes the conditions.
From the evidentiary hearing.
All right. Commissioner Kuczynski, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I make a motion that the mayor sign off on the findings of fact in the evidentiary hearing as well. Boy, I couldn't get that word.
Yeah, that's why I let you do it. All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 4-0. All right, that got us covered on Zinc House. Thank y'all very much, and we appreciate it and look forward to the next step.
Thank you for coming to Creedmoor.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
Can tell her, can't wait. Have no drink.
Let's get to my agenda thing here. Okay. We move now to item 9B, update on traffic control device. Hillsborough Street, US 15, Mr. Barclay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board.
So I requested of our contact at DOT for an update on this, and the response came after it was too late to send in the middle for the agenda package. Short email, I'll just go ahead and read it to you so you hear it in her own words. She replied, "The signal warrant analysis and queuing information was submitted to our congestion management group to perform a mobility analysis to determine if the project is eligible for spot mobility funding. We are waiting to hear back from that group. If it is not eligible for spot mobility funding, we will submit it for consideration for spot safety funding. The reason that we wanted to see if it's eligible for spot mobility rather than automatically submitting it for spot safety is because spot mobility is less competitive than spot safety, so the likelihood of us getting the project awarded is much higher. I hope this helps with your update." Yes, thank you, Ashley, it does.
Commissioner Kuczynski.
So I'd like to know why this is back on this agenda, because Carl, you gave a great presentation to us in June about this, and the bottom line was they agreed to a traffic light and we were waiting on funding. And as of this week, Monday, I think it was Monday, that the mayor and Commissioner Gleason and I went to the elected officials meeting, that's exactly what they said. So I'm sorry that you had to bring this up again, because I didn't think it was necessary.
It's impressive to have an update on where it was, make sure it wasn't lost, I suppose. So this does tell us a little bit more detail about where it is and how they're trying to.
Well, I appreciate your hard work on this. I think you've done a great job.
Any other questions for Carl? Carl, as always, thank you, sir. All right, let's see, that's there. All right. 10A, make sure I hadn't skipped anything. Public hearing on financing of new public department, police department building and city hall renovations. All right, at this time, I will open the public hearing. Do we have anybody wanting to speak on that? All right, at this time, I will close the public hearing. And we will turn it over to our finance officer, Mr. Faines.
Yes, sir. So, tonight, as part of this whole process with the financing, as we go through the process for the police department construction, one requirement is that the state law requires that the city's finance be approved by the North Carolina government, Commission, the LGC, and that a finance resolution is adopted by the governing board. So tonight, I bring before you the resolution 2025-R04 for you all's review, and we have Sanford Holtrauser with us tonight. If you have any questions for them, they can go through it with you. But if you have any questions, if they want to make any comments, they can. If not, like I said, this is a requirement for this process.
All right, anybody have any questions and comments about the financing? Not hearing any? Lee, did you have anything else?
No, sir. I just need a motion for you all to adopt the resolution.
Okay, 2025-R-04.
Yes, sir.
All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion to adopt preliminary findings resolution. Motion is made by the Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. No. Motion carries 3-1. All right, let's see. All right, let's see, that was 10A. 10B, Mr. Faines.
Yes, sir. So this item is in regards to the RFP that was sent out for direct bank loan financing on June 11th, 2025. So this overview and presentation will be given by Davenport summarizes those bids that we received from the three banks, J.P. Morgan, Chase, Webster Bank, and Capital One. Tonight we have Mitch Pagulio with us tonight in Davenport. He's going to go through the presentation, and then we will have a recommendation for you all.
Any questions for Mr. Paynes? Mr. Kaczynski, any questions?
No.
Okay. All right. So this is the one to accept the bank proposal?
Yes, after you go through the presentation.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for having me this evening. We're gonna walk through a few things related to these proposals. And there's a number of considerations that I'll point out to you along the way. Ultimately, as Lee said, we've developed a recommendation, staff in Davenport, for you all to consider this evening, but I want to set it up for you so you understand some of your options and considerations when making a decision on which way and how you want to proceed going forward. Maybe? There we go. We have this is the older one. Do y'all have,
Yep, hopefully, you got it.
standing by? Okay, you all had a version in your packet based upon the original proposals. One of the banks that provided a proposal, was not in a position to provide a fixed interest rate, so we got updated indicative rates from them, and we gave others an opportunity to revisit their proposals as well. We'll talk about that. But that's the difference here. I think we still have the old one.
Hold on.
That is okay. So I think y'all may have a hard copy of it in front of you. So we can, if it's okay, we can go ahead and get started off the hard copy there. And I wanted to start out, just kind of reorienting you all to where we are on the schedule
There
here.
you go. This is the one I got.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Exactly. Thank you. So we want to reorient you all to where we kind of are in the schedule and where the process is going to evolve. There have been some changes related to the project schedule and the local government commission approval schedule that may play into some of your considerations here. So you all just took care of the public hearing and adopted the findings resolution, which was the two formal actions we needed from you tonight. The final piece is looking for a little bit of direction from you all on which bank, if any, we're ready to move forward with at this point. We also today submitted the application to the local government commission. You all ratified that as part of the findings resolution that you just adopted. And typically, the local government commission is looking for all of the information they need as part of that application. One of the key things they look for is information on the project. They want to know how much the project costs because they've got to make a finding that you're borrowing the right amount of money to fund your project. Project bids were originally anticipated to come in on August 14th. Those have been shifted out to August 21st. And the local government commission staff was kind enough to make an exception for us to still go to the September local government commission if we are able to provide them a summary of those bids on August 21st. The day they come in, if we can get them the information on the project that afternoon, they'll allow us to continue moving forward towards the September LGC meeting, which kind of just allows the project to keep moving along a little more quickly. If we're not able or not in a position to provide that information on August 21st, then we would need to slide to the October local government commission meeting, which is on October 7th. So about a month delay in the financing process, which then kind of carries forward into the project approval process, because you all need to know you've got the money in hand to fund the project before you agree to move forward with that.
So that's a slight nuance that we're gonna have to be thinking about in this schedule. You've got to be very precise on August 21st, and some of those things are out of your control, right? Do you get 3 bids that you can open? Good interest so far has been expressed, is what we've been shared with us, but you got to have the 3 bids to open them. And if you do open them, if project bids come in higher than expected, are you still in a position to say, here's what our project cost is that day? Yes, sir.
Commissioner Kaczynski, I believe you have a question.
So maybe, I don't know if Lee can answer this one or you. It says in here, we're borrowing an amount up to $2,750,000. Did we vote on the amount of money we were gonna borrow and the amount of money we were taking out of the general fund?
Discussion, and there was, additional amount of to not exceed $2.7 million to go into the public hearing. We can borrow less than that, but there was room given in that borrowing amount just in case the bids come higher than what it was expected.
And my issue is that I don't remember us making a definite decision on what we are borrowing and what we are putting into this.
We have had numerous discussions.
Oh, I know we've had discussions, but I don't remember doing the final vote on it.
In terms of the borrowing amount, if it's helpful, in terms of the borrowing amount, you all will approve that, have the opportunity to review and approve that at your next meeting.
Don't we need the bids first before we can decide exactly?
Yes, ma'am, exactly.
That's what I was
So
thinking.
the bids are gonna come in on August 21st, and then we're coming back to you all as currently scheduled on the September 2nd meeting, so you'll know how much the project costs
Okay.
are, and we'll be able to approve the final borrowing amount.
That's where I was going. Thank you. Thank you all.
The 2.7 is, like I said, not to exceed, I think has to go in the public hearing notice.
Okay. But it can't exceed it because we're just,
The notice by law has to include an amount, and so I think, and Lee, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the idea was we would include the highest number that this board has considered or discussed in the past as being a possible dollar amount for the project. You put that in the notice, and then, hopefully, and in all likelihood,
It'll come
the
down.
actual amount is gonna come in under that. But this gives you the wiggle room, because, what you don't wanna do is find yourself in a situation where, you're gonna have to borrow an amount
More,
higher than that,
right.
and that throws the whole project off.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you all.
Any other questions while we stop? Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, and I know that was a great question, and that kind of covered where I was going next. So that was perfect, perfect transition. So I just wanted to highlight for you, there's some uncertainties in timing here, right, with the bids and whether or not we will absolutely definitively be able to hit that September LGC meeting. If not, it's not a problem. We can go to the October meeting. If we have to, it'll just mean that we close on the financing about a month later. Okay? And that's going to come into play a little bit when we start talking about the bank bids. So as Lee said, we sent out the RFP, and we're pleased to get 3 responses back. We asked for both 15 and 20-year terms. And the longer you go out on the financing, the fewer number of banks there are that are willing to provide a fixed rate for that period of time. So, a universe of regularly 5 to 6 folks who are participating. So felt good about getting the 3 proposals here for this range of financing. We're going to go through those proposals here, and we're going to look at not just the interest rates, but we're going to look at some of the terms and conditions of their proposals, as well as the resulting payments, estimated payments, and the estimated cash flow impacts or considerations for you all. And before we do that, the details of those proposals, I wanted to hearken back to what do I mean by those cash flow impacts, cash flow considerations. And we were back with you all, or we were with you all back on April 1st. And I know a lot has happened for y'all since then, but I wanted to refresh you, right? We looked at a number of different financing approaches at that point in time, decided to move forward with this installment financing, and looked at your debt service budget and how you could potentially pay for that loan, At the time, we were looking at contributing $2 million of cash. Subsequently, you all have identified up to $3 million to go towards this project. And at that time, we had been looking at potential tax rates needed at the $2 million level, contribution level, to support the financing, ranged from 3.7 pennies up to like 5+ pennies, depending upon how you chose to use the cash. We've updated this analysis at this point, and you all took the action to put the 2 cents in place, have that ready to go, and to contribute the $3 million. And what we've done here is we've gone back to that cash flow analysis, just where do things stand right now, assuming the same planning interest rate of 5% and a 20-year term that we had used back in April. And so I'm not going to walk through this whole thing with you again, but column D is the total requirements you got to come up with for your debt payments, both your existing debt and this proposed new issuance. Column G is the revenues you all have available within your budget at this point in time to go towards debt service. And column H is just doing the difference between the two. And with the 2 pennies and carrying forward your $49,000 you already had in the budget, you make it a good chunk of the way there to being able to cover all of this. There are a few years where additional revenues will be needed to supplement those resources that are in place based upon this 5% planning rate, and those are identified in column I. It's a total of about $411,000 over about a 10-year period of time from fiscal year 28 to fiscal year 2036. Reality of it is your tax base may grow differently, other revenue sources may come in. We're just identifying this is what we're going to need to do if we had a 5% interest rate wherever those dollars are available to come from, okay? And so what we're going to look at when we drop in the actual proposals, how does that change? I just wanted to make sure, it's been a few months since we talked about that, so I just wanted to refresh you on how we're doing that math. Okay, so here's what you really wanted to see. Summary of the proposals, the 3 proposals. The first row, JP Morgan Chase. I'm going to come back to column B, but column D is I know where your eyes go. What is the interest rates that they gave us? They gave us 2 options for the prepayment provisions, and they gave us 2 different rates for each. The different rates have to do with tax code and what you qualify for. I'm going to make this easy on us. You can ignore the ones that say NBQ next to them in parentheses. You all are eligible for this lower BQ rate, so that's what we're going to focus on. Bank qualified. It is an IRS designation, and that's why you have Bob and Emily here if you really want to get into the weeds. But you qualify for it, which in this case gets you a lower rate. Okay? Option 1 is non-callable. That's the absolute lowest rate that we received, a 3.63. This rate is fresh as of this morning. The original proposal was a 3.77. This is the updated rate. Rates have come down, which is a good thing. And it is the lowest rate you got for a reason, because it's non-callable. That means you don't have the ability to prepay it prior to maturity. You don't have that option. It's there, and it's a 15-year rate, and it's there for the next 15 years. Option 2 is the one that is prepayable anytime on or after September 1 of 30 without penalty. You can see it is a higher rate, 396, because of that prepayment flexibility. One thing to be aware of in this financing, we are putting a mortgage on the new facility. And in North Carolina, you only can put a mortgage on a facility that you're borrowing money for, that you're spending loan proceeds on. That's the only thing that you can do. So if there's ever a need in the future to borrow more money for this facility over the next 15 years, we would either have to get an exception from JP Morgan or prepay the loan to get rid of that mortgage. And I realize you all are like, we're just building this brand new facility. We have zero intention of doing anything else, but you never know, particularly with public safety, new requirements come down that you have to address. If you go non-callable, it limits your flexibility there. You're really subject to the bank being willing to work with you. Most folks for this type of financing typically like to have a prepayment provision, particularly when you're going out 15 and 20 years. It maintains your flexibility. So for that reason, I'm mostly going to focus on the option 2, which has that prepayment, but happy to talk through option 1 if y'all would like me to continue talking about that. The other thing that is important to note with the JP Morgan proposal, these rates are only held for 24 hours. So we have until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning to accept their rate. Their rate is locked for 45 days, so it's locked for a closing through September 18th, which works under our current schedule. If we go through the process and we get LGC approval and you all approve it, after that point in time, you could be, if you're not able to close within the 45 days, the bank has the option to charge a breakage penalty to make them whole for whatever costs that they have accrued associated with not closing the loan on time. Yes, ma'am. Please, just cut me off.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Commissioner Kuczynski.
So if the rate goes down between now and the 45 days for closing, and we can't get it?
You're locked in. Once you accept, if we accept this rate, we're kind of locked in at that rate for 45 days. And if we don't close on time, it's subject to a breakage penalty.
Okay.
What JP Morgan has said is, hey, we understand there's some approvals that may be out of your control, so we will not charge the breakage penalty until those approvals are in place. But after that, we have the option to charge the breakage.
So that's the deal to keep the rate.
Exactly where it is.
So it won't go up.
Exactly where it is.
But it won't go down.
Yes, ma'am. They're taking the risk that if rates go up, they're at the lower rate. So if rates go down, they get the benefit on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Keep in mind, right, that September 18th date, that's before the October LGC meeting. And this is why we talked about schedule at the beginning, right? There's some questions about pretty tight on August 21st, and if we aren't able to get the bids we need and information to the LGC on that same day, we're going to have to push to October, which would then not allow us to close in September. So in talking with staff, we felt like in this scenario, we're not quite ready to lock in with JP Morgan more than likely, unless you all feel strongly about it. But there are some unknowns with that August 21st timing to be able to feel really confident that we're going to hit September. So one consideration is, are we really in a position to lock ourselves in at this point on that? Yes, ma'am.
What's the breakage fee?
The bank
It's
calculates.
fluctuating?
So, I mean,
Is it a percentage?
what happens is when you lock in the rate, the bank is going to go and say, okay, I'm going to hedge that rate. On the other side, they're going to enter into a transaction with somebody else to offset their risk with you all. And if you don't close, then they have to pay a penalty on that other piece that they entered into. And so that's typically how it works.
So do you feel that we can do this?
Yeah. Yeah, please.
All right, I'm Bob Jessup. I'm from the law firm Stanford Holzhauser, and we get to work as bond counsel on this. And as Mitch was explaining it, he did one thing that I did when I was trying to explain it to someone else. The other aspect, and maybe you were going to get to it, is not only are we subject to risk on the timing, we're subject to risk on the amount.
I hadn't gotten there yet, but I was getting there. No, you're good. No, it's perfect.
I thought that part of the presentation was over, so I can jump in.
No, it's perfect. So that's kind of the timing aspect, right? And I'm gonna answer your question in just a moment.
Okay.
The other piece with JP Morgan is that once we accept that rate, whatever amount that we agree to the acceptance on cannot go up or down by more than 5%. So bids are coming in on August 21st. We have to lock this rate, we would have to accept tomorrow. We don't know where bids are gonna be, so we don't really know exactly how much we want to borrow necessarily until we get the bids, like you mentioned earlier. So I think for that additional reason, right, I think the timing in and of itself is enough to say probably not ready to do it. But the uncertainty with the amount and bids coming in later, I think pushes us to not being in a position, at least this is where we all collectively ended up, not sure we're in a position to lock in just yet with JP Morgan. Yes, sir, please jump in.
We've kind of settled on the fact of putting up $2 million up front. $3 million, I'm sorry. And we changed the amount of capital reserve that we can have to 50%. How much above 50% will we have if we use $3 million? Is there another $500,000 there?
I can do the calculation for you, and I can have that to you. I can have the city manager email that to you on tomorrow. I can definitely calculate that for you.
Any other questions? Please continue.
Okay. And just for sake of clarity, both of those JP Morgan rates are 15-year rates. They do not provide 20-year rates. And that's not specific to you all, that's across the board. The next lowest rates we got was Webster Bank. And they originally proposed the 4.31% for 15 years and 4.56% for 20 years. They only one rate for each term. They don't differentiate. The 4.31% for 15 years compares to the 396 for JP Morgan. Difference there in how they see the market, but also Webster originally locked in their rate through September 25th, right? They didn't lock it in for a single day. They're locking it in for a much longer period of time, so they are exposed to more risk, so slightly higher rate. When we let them know where we stood and asked if they had any updates to their proposal that they wanted us to include, they have extended their rate lock through October 15th, right? So that's pretty important in this consideration, right? Because now, if we aren't able to get to September, you're good through October 15th, and in talking to Bob Jessup and Emily Jessup, we're able to get that closing done by October 15th for an October LGC meeting. So that will work regardless of which LGC we go to if you wanted to lock in the rate. And they did extend their acceptance deadline out through August 22nd, which is the day after bids. Webster is they do not charge a breakage fee, so I don't know that it's as critical to wait, but if you wanted to wait until after bids came in, you would have the ability to do that with Webster. But if we're going to pursue September, we would need to start documenting the transaction with Webster to have everything ready to go. Webster does provide prepayment flexibility. For the 15-year term, you can start prepaying it after September 1 of 2030. It would have a penalty for the first couple of years, 2%, then 1%, but after September 1 of 2032, it would be prepayable without penalty. Similarly, on the 20-year loan, start prepaying it after September 1 of 2030, has a penalty for the first 4 years, longer term, so longer penalty period, and then after September 1 of 2034, no penalty. Okay? If you're a glutton for punishment, there's a lot more details on the terms and conditions on page 6. I'm not going to go through those here, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm going to get you to what ultimately is, I think, going to be helpful for you all in understanding, well, what do these differences in interest rates mean for me, right?
Real quick, any questions so far while you had a break?
Are we not going over the capital one?
Happy to. We kind of focused on, given the differential in interest rates, right? The 15 years jumps from a 431 to a 476.
Right.
And the 20 from a 456 to a 494. That's where we kind of focused in on JP Morgan and Webster.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I should have mentioned that. I apologize. Okay, so page 7 shows you projects out the estimated debt service payments, right? I think interest rates are easy to talk about, but what does it really mean in terms of cash flow? Let me set this up for you. Column B is restating just the planning estimates, so you have something, a baseline to compare it to. That's assuming a $2.5 million financing at a 5% interest rate, right? So that's roughly $5.5 million project, $3 million cash contribution, $2.5 million financing at a 5% interest rate over 20 years. That's where we had started with all this. That results in $3.8 million down on line 36, $3.8 million of total debt service. And if you remember, that's that scenario where we walked through lines 37 and 38. It was $411,000 of additional revenue needs that would need to be identified over the period of time of fiscal year 28 through fiscal year 36. Okay, so that's kind of our baseline. I'm going to skip column C, that's the non-callable rate, unless you all want me to cover that. Column D is that JP Morgan callable interest rate. One nuance here, JP Morgan, we asked for annual payments of principal and interest. JP Morgan will require semi-annual interest payments, which means you can see there in fiscal 26, there would be a payment due for JP Morgan in fiscal year 2026. Overall, total debt service is $3.27 million, so much lower than where we were at the planning estimates. Yes, they have a lower interest rate, but also it's a shorter term. So the shorter term, the less interest you have to pay, but it does result in higher payments. So you can see if you compare the annual payments in column D versus the planning estimate in column B, those annual payments are higher during the 15 years that loan is outstanding. So what that means is the additional revenue required down on line 37 is higher at $550,000, and it's over a longer period of time, 2027 to 2037. I'm going slow. I know this is a lot to take in, and y'all are just seeing it.
Is there any questions at this point? Thought I'd throw that in there.
Of course. So column E is the Webster 15-year proposal, right? That higher interest rate than JP Morgan, right? The 431 compared to column D, the 396. So the total debt service is higher, $3.36 million compared to the $3.27 million. And the annual payments are slightly higher, about $10,000 higher a year. And so therefore, we get into line 37 and 38. That additional revenue required is up by about $50,000, just over $600,000 of additional revenue that would be required. Column F is that lowest 20-year rate that was provided by Webster, right? 20 years, so that's consistent with what we had been running in the planning model. However, the 20-year term results in higher total debt service, 3.66 million compared to roughly 3.3 for the 15-year options, but the annual payment is lower. And because of those lower annual payments in the early years in particular, that additional revenue requirement is the lowest of the options, $316,000, and it's back to that shorter period of time. It's even shorter than the planning model, 6 years, 2028 to 2034. So higher interest rate, longer term, but lower payments may be easier to handle from the budget. And that's where you kind of call it a balloon, right? You squeeze on one end, the other side gets bigger, and vice versa. You can have lower payments and easier on the budget, but it means you would have a higher level of interest. However, it is prepayable after 2034. So, if you got out 9 years, 8 years and said, hey, we've done a lot better, Lee keeps adding money to my capital reserve, and so I want to take some of that money and shorten this loan or pay it off, you'd have the option to do that. Lee and I were talking about it earlier. You could choose, say, hey, you know what, revenues have come in good, and we want to pay off this loan or shorten it up and refinance it to a shorter term. You can go longer to shorter, but once you kind of lock in that shorter, if you go with 15 years now, you don't have the option to refinance it and go out longer in the future. So, I think y'all can kind of pick up where I'm going with this. So for those reasons, and Lee and we all agreed that we would recommend the Webster 20-year proposal being consistent with the planning model, the term, lowest additional revenue required, but also have the flexibility where you could shorten it up, refinance it, pay it off in the future if you wanted to. So you're not locking yourself in to the 20 years. You have the flexibility to shorten it, but you're giving yourself the option to leave it out for 20 years. And in the interim, you get the benefit of those lower payments, lower annual revenue requirements that you have to come up with. So that's kind of, I don't know if you'd add anything, but I think that's where we had ended up on that.
And reason not going for JP Morgan, as you said, the bid date being on the 21st, the requirements from JP Morgan regarding the 5% less or more, and the uncertainty of what bids will come in as I feel more comfortable and not comfortable locking in with JP Morgan, but more comfortable with Webster and that flexibility. That if we have to move to October meeting and all of those things factors based on our decision.
And in terms of the amount for Webster, it's not sort of written in stone like it is for JP Morgan, but generally plus or minus 10%, they're good. And if it has to go higher, they have more flexibility to go higher. This size loan, if we needed to lower it more, it would be a conversation with them about where interest rates are and if it would have any impact on rate. But we do have more flexibility there, and they don't have a breakage penalty. So if we're not able to close by October 15th or have to increase the amount and kind of reset the clock, there's no penalty that you all are subject to.
Commissioner Kuczynski.
So I absolutely agree with the decision to go with Webster because of deadline constraints with JP Morgan. And Kevin, closings don't usually always pull off when they're supposed to. And I don't like surprises on how much is the fee going to be and what is it going to change to. I'd rather know going in there what we're going to do. And it gives us flexibility to pay it off in 15 years if we can, instead of going 20. So although I have voted against the police department, I have got to do my fiscal responsibility to vote on this, and I do agree that the Webster is the best. I think it's the best, and I like your thinking on it.
Any other questions at this time? Anything else you need to present?
No, sir. I think I covered all on schedule. I mean, if we're able to stay on track for September, we'll be back to you all on September 2nd, for your final approval of that financing. If we push to October, we have the option to come back to you either at the September meeting or your meeting in October, and that'll, again, be driven by bids and the LGC requirements. I think, Mr. Mayor, we would just be looking, I don't know, however y'all want to do it, consensus or roll call, informal, just direction on how you'd like us to proceed, if you'd like us to move forward with one of these banks now, or hold on.
We will, give me a minute, Commissioner Kuczynski.
I was gonna suggest that I would be willing to make the motion to accept the bank proposal.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? All right, we have a motion on the floor to accept Webster. All those in favor say aye.
20-year term, sir? Sorry.
20-year term, yes.
Yeah. Whatever you recommended.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Motion carries 3-1. Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I know that was a lot.
It's a little dry.
Let's see.
You don't need that.
All right, Mr. Faines, I believe we're moving on here to the 10D.
Yes, sir.
Budget Amendment Number 1, FY '26.
Yes, sir. So my last item for you all tonight, first budget amendment of the fiscal year. This amendment always includes the PO rollovers from fiscal year end, that was hard to get out, 25. Those POs totaling $100,297,000. Also in this amendment is $51,800 of additional funds needed in finance for the financial advisory services related to the city's 2025 installment financing contract with Davenport. With the board agreed on August 6, 2024. So that $51,000 is just appropriating those additional funds needed for those services as well. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Commissioner Wilkins.
Lee, this follows the $20,000 we appropriated last August of 2024. I think I made that motion.
Yes, so the $20,000 was for the first, I call it 2 phases, the non-transaction work where they kind of went through the city's finances and make sure they looked at the city's debt capacity and debt affordability. This second phase is for the actual transaction work that Mitch and his team are doing now for the actual police department construction. They're going through that process of the bank RFPs and the LGC applications, closing and all of those.
Thank you. I'll make that motion when you...
All right. Commissioner Wilkins has made the motion to approve the budget amendment number 1. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you all.
Thanks, sir. All right. We'll get caught up. Mr. Kuczynski, did you have something?
I have a question for Lee before you. We're not done with you yet.
I'm sorry.
Can you please clear up for me a statement that's been made that I don't believe is correct, and I'd like you to clear it up for me.
Okay.
Does the city of Creedmoor have a $5 million surplus?
$5 million surplus?
Right.
And from the last fiscal year? Or just in?
General. In general.
No, our fund balance is $10 million, but based on our actual fund balance policy of 50% of fiscal year expenditures, that lowers that reserve that we can actually use and appropriate for expenditures throughout the fiscal year.
According to LGC guidelines.
Yes, and of course.
Thank you, sir, that's what I wanted to straighten out. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, is there anything else before I move on?
I have a question.
Yes.
I guess this
Mayor Pro Tem.
this is for Commissioner Wilkins. I was at the last meeting, I thought you voted to approve the police station.
You want to answer that?
And now you're voting against funding it.
People are allowed to change their mind, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Speaking of Commissioner Wilkins, I believe we're up to you, water quality discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, sir, for your email to me last week, or week or two. I could in fact bring this issue up this evening when you initially informed me that I could not back in June, so I'm glad to have this further discussion this evening about water quality. One of the things that I have always admired about this board is our unique ability to get along over the past several years. It truly grieves my heart, though, that the togetherness which we once shared, I believe, has been breached. I am saddened by that because I vehemently believe that requesting water filters has been classified as noise. If I then by default am considered the one who continues to bring this issue up, then I consider it a badge of honor to be called the noise maker. I am truly sorry about this breach as a board because I fight for the citizens of Creedmoor. I fight because many in our community cannot afford to purchase equipment to mitigate unsightly, pungent, and possible health concerning water that we receive. I fight because watching over the welfare of Creedmoor's citizens is my first order of business as a commissioner. I am pained that because I want to fight for water quality, and that because I want to legally purchase water filters for our low and moderate income households, and enter into an agreement with Saguasa to do the same, I, along with Commissioner Way in his absence, fall into the minority. As evidence of my request this evening, I much prefer to have a constructive conversation, sharing ideas and opinions, such as I did with the Mayor Pro Temp 2 weeks ago via telephone. That conversation with him I found to be much more productive and a meaningful change of ideas. Madam Clerk, if you could put our test results up on the screen, please. First slide.
Nope. Those were confidential, they weren't on the public one, hang on. I will pull them up on.
Take your time. Yeah, but the most recent. Take your time, Madam Clerk. There we go. That's it. Thank you. If you look at 1606 Matlow Drive, there were elevated levels of iron over 5.3 over the MCL and manganese over 1.4 over the MCL. And we'll speak a little bit later about MCLs because the maximum contaminant levels bother me. At 448 Manuel Drive, there were elevated levels of iron at 0.09, and manganese was over 1.5. At East Lion Streets, they were considered acceptable levels. At 414 Hunter's Ridge, there were elevated levels of iron at 0.9, and manganese 0.13. And finally, at 823 Pitch Pine Drive, elevated levels of iron at 0.64, and manganese was again deemed at acceptable levels. Well, let's talk about acceptable levels. Originally, MCLs were designed to represent minimum safety thresholds. However, in cases like manganese, outdated classifications and regulatory gaps leave our community, especially those with young children, at risk of long-term neurological harm. Ethical public health practices call for actions from this board that go beyond mere compliance with antiquated limits. Furthermore, the secondary maximum contaminant levels for manganese that's set at 0.05 was for aesthetics, and that was established decades ago and now does not reflect the scientific understanding of cumulative exposure from drinking water. From 2010 to 2016, data collected from water, it was estimated that lifetime cancer cases could be attributed to carcinogenic chemicals in tap water. And beyond cancer, PFAS are of particular concern due to their persistence and potential to build up in one's body. And that's directly from ScienceDirect.org. Additionally, as noted by the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, infants and children are particularly vulnerable due to higher intestinal absorption and immature blood-brain barriers. The EPA's 2022 draft assessment also links chronic manganese exposure to cognitive and behavioral impairments in children, even below enforceable thresholds. So I share this information to say we need to be careful in being comfortable with levels that are below or at acceptable contaminant levels. So allow me to backtrack and reiterate what these metals do and the dangers of chemicals in our drinking water. Iron can significantly affect our water's taste, smell, and appearance, as well as cause staining. Iron can also contribute to the growth of iron bacteria, as opposed to iron vitamins that we may take. And iron can lead to unpleasant odors and clogged pipes. It is obvious from the chart on that screen that our water quality is not what it should be, either health-wise or aesthetically. Our water is not at times stench-free. We are more than likely being exposed to possible neurological problems. Some within our city are fortunate enough to have various filters, including whole house filters. Me and the Mayor Pro Tem spoke about, but we had no former homes. And I would hazard a guess at least half of our residents cannot afford filters in their homes. The chart of our testing indicates that our water quality is not what it should be, and looking at these results from each location bears that out. Our role as commissioners involves caring for and representing citizens, regardless of the impact on popularity. I'd rather stand alone, or in this case alongside Commissioner Way, in making sure everyone has clean, odorless, chemical-free water in their homes. Additionally, we need to mitigate the harmful effects of PFAS, which I understand Saguasto is attempting to correct, but a deadline of 2029 by the federal government does not give me hope for speedy resolution. Additionally, since it was discovered a few months ago that no one knew when the last time the filters at the water plant was changed, with the best guesstimate after spirited discussion being 22 years ago. Those filters, I believe, should be changed at least every 10 years. Having previously served on the Saguasto Board back in 2015, perhaps that was a question I should have asked. I now understand that bids are going out this month to rectify that situation. My entire purpose this evening is for the board to have a discussion. It's not about blame, but it's about the health, safety, welfare, and dignity of our constituents. If the water coming into our homes is not clean, then nothing else really matters. Madam Clerk, would you put up the second slide, please? One from our attorney.
I would.
Okay, we'll skip that slide.
Putting that up, right, would violate the attorney-client privilege.
Okay, we'll skip that. Now, statements have been made about filters being, thank you for that, Mr. City Attorney. being a Band-Aid. And I understand that sentiment, and kicking the problem down the road is no solution. I submit to you tonight, it is better to provide filters to those in need, thereby lending a hand, and thus showing empathy for those less fortunate. By the way, Band-Aids do have a purpose, in order to keep the wound from being affected from the outside and to promote healing, and to prevent contaminants from entering into that area. I was also disappointed reading that Governor Stein announced $204 million for drinking water and wastewater projects, but that Granville County was not included. Wait, may I finish? Thank you. I believe the title of a news article run 2 weeks ago by WRAL says it all. Residents tired of waiting for clear water solution in South Granville County. I believe that to be a true statement. As Mr. Schroeder said in his article, trust is fragile and can be lost quickly. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I again wish to thank you for our phone conversation and your willingness and openness while discussing both our opinions and our passions. Because even if we don't agree, we can always come to a cordial understanding and many times a compromise solution. You, sir, have never taken a backhanded approach to anyone due to a disagreement. Mr. Mayor, again, thank you for your professionalism, and again, thank you for your email correcting what happened back in June. Mr. Mayor, as the facilitator of this board, even though you do not have a vote, your opinion matters. And I'm hopeful you will soon reconsider your previous voice against water filters. So, Mr. Mayor, I ask that you have the board begin a discussion about what we're going to do to assist our citizens. Can I have the slide with the picture? Against that. Should we flip that? Well, we can see the water. That's right. Against that and PFAS chemicals in our drinking water. Our purpose here tonight should be to have an open discussion about to ensure our residents do not suffer through what we see up on that screen. And before anybody says, I understand that's Butner. If 4 of you do not agree with water filters, it's only I and Commissioner Way in agreement. If the 4 of you believe the filters will only be a Band-Aid, then I ask, what solutions do you have tonight to mitigate these issues, to mitigate that? That photo tells me our system possibly could be affected. So, Mr. Mayor, I would like you to poll the board individually and ask, if not filters, that the 3 of you voted down, then what solutions do you have against that? I ask what solutions do the 4 of you propose to prevent that and unseen PFAS chemicals. Because let me tell you, failing to do anything tonight is not acceptable to our constituents. Failing to address their needs is unacceptable. Denying there's a problem is unacceptable. Waiting another 5 to 10 years for clean water is unacceptable. Saying we don't control the water is unacceptable since we can't provide at least a temporary solution which will be better than our constituents suffering through that. If I may, Jesus said in his word in the Gospel of Matthew, the 25th chapter, verses 40 through 43, to the king about a stranger, for I was hungry, and you gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, yet took me in not. Naked, and yet clothed me not. Sick and in prison, and you visited me not. I am painfully aware we don't control this water plant, but something must be done. Moreover, we are representatives of the people, and many have brought their concerns to us. So in the interest of representing the people, I believe this is what they wish us to do, to use their tax dollars to help them have clean water. This evening, let us not refuse, as the scripture says, to feed with clean water, give thirst with clean water, clothe with clean water, give a better chance of good health with clean water. to visit our citizens with kindness, as we certainly do, as Commissioner Way pointed out, have the funds to do so. I believe we have the legal capability to do something for our citizens, especially low and low moderate income citizens. You stop me if I'm treading on wrong, okay? So we can spend $5.1 million on a new police department, $700,000 of which comes to remodel this city hall, but yet not spend an equal amount to guarantee the health, safety, and welfare of our constituents. I believe they'll fall short of our duties. So, Mr. Mayor, can you now call for open discussion, especially since I was accused of not having one back in June? Let's discuss tonight a solution for our citizens. If we as a board cannot come up with a suggestion in an open dialogue to prevent that, then we as a board will have utterly failed again to truly represent our constituents. I am in possession of 2 petitions, one with over 300 signatures and one recent one with well over 200 signatures. That tells me there is an interest in receiving water filters. Mr. Mayor, at this time, would you please open the discussion about water quality and any ideas the board members would have? And sir, if you so desire, as you are, it is your decision certainly to accept this, I'd like to hear from you first, as you set the tone for this board. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I will give my opinion, but I'm going to defer to Commissioner Albright first.
Good evening, everybody. I just have a few things to say about what Commissioner Wilkins talked about. So to those of you that are advising Creedmoor to provide water filters, how do we decide who would receive the water filters? According to Commissioner Wilkins, there would be 2 water filters per home for low-income to moderate family homes within the city limits. He also said that there would be no additional cost to the city. And I'm certain that Creedmoor residents would expect us to put their water filters in for them, which would mean hiring installers, which would also cost money, and they would probably need to be insured, the installers. What if the filters don't fit with the person's sink or refrigerator because some homes and equipment are old? What do we do for the citizens that have also already purchased their own home filters and that aren't in that income bracket? In my opinion, is that the previous boards, water and commissioners, have had many chances to make these water improvements and have not. SCWASA is our water authority and should be the one that provides filters for those citizens that need them.
A rebuttal?
In just a minute. If you would take that picture down, that says Paddington, but that picture is not from Paddington.
I said it was butter.
Huh?
I said it was butter.
Okay, but with it still being up there with that on there, I think it'd be appropriate to take it down. So everybody's seen it anyway.
A rebuttal?
Well, I want to go through everybody. You had full conversation. I want to do the same for everybody else. Mayor Pro Tem.
Let me see if I can give Mr. Mayor a little more to write about the newspaper. There's nothing in this world that I wouldn't do to get better, cleaner water for our citizens. I've lived in Creedmoor, owned a home in Creedmoor for 18 years. 18 years. We got letters from the Creedmoor City Hall saying, boil your water. I went to meetings for 15 years and never heard the word, let's do something about water quality in Creedmoor. I seen how we wanted more water in Creedmoor, and I gotta give the city credit for the increase in the water that we do have and whatever. But the bottom line is, hypocrisy is awful. When you all of a sudden found that there's a really good political score here by saying that we're not for clean water for our citizens. Believe me, Archie, I'm for clean water. I go to every Seguasa meeting. I've gone to every city meeting. I see people now in this audience that want to be mayor, want to be commissioner, want to be whatever, and never been to meetings, have no idea what's going on in the city. And now all of a sudden, it's politically astute to make us look bad because we can't supply water filters for people. We don't even know how many. We don't know where they live. We don't know who lives in apartments. We don't know who lives in rented houses. We would have no way of figuring out who could get these water filters. Archie, to make me feel like you're making me feel like I don't care about our citizens' quality. Listen, pal, my community has been my life since I was a Boy Scout. For 25 years, I risked my life as a firefighter for community. So don't tell me I don't give a shit about community. I do. And if we could buy water filters for all 6,500 customers of Seguasa, let's buy them. But the bottom line is if you give somebody a water filter, and then 2 years down the road, it costs me $300 a year, at least, to change the filters in my home. Who's gonna give these people $300 to change the filters in their homes? And then somebody says, well, they buy water now, and they're gonna save on the water, and they're gonna be... The bottom line is, the reason that I say it's a Band-Aid is because it is a Band-Aid. And down the road, for some of these citizens, it's gonna cost them problems. But to make me and anybody else on this board the bad guy? Wait a minute. Look at the board when they brought up PFAS at the Seguasa meetings. Go back in a minute. The first night they brought it up, it was almost comic. See what my remarks were at that meeting, the following meeting about PFAS and PFAS. I know what PFAS is. AFFF foam has put PFAS in firemen's lives for years. We got PFAS in our plastic bottles. We're not worried about stopping PFAS. We're worried about getting water filters for a few hundred people that need them. I'm not arguing that they don't need them. I'm not arguing that they don't need them, but we can't give them to everybody, and it would give those people sooner or later a problem when they have to come up with $69 to replace a filter. And if you're telling me you can buy filters that you only need to pay $20 for a filter refill, then you're not buying a filter. You're buying something on Amazon that's not worth the money. I just want to say that I'm for clean water. And next Tuesday night, I'll be at Seguasa's meeting, like I am at every meeting. And I want to see the people that are here at Seguasa meetings when the camera's not there. I don't want to see WRAL doing a political commercial for somebody. A political commercial for somebody to make this board and Seguasa look bad, and I can go back and find a couple months or a year ago where he was saluting Seguasa for the great job that they did in his neighborhood or in his home. I'm not making that up.
Is that me?
Fact. No, not you.
Oh, okay.
No. So the bottom line is I just want to get it on record that I'm for clean water. And I'm for doing it the right way. And I don't want to wait Seguasa till 2029 to get it. In October, they're supposed to be found, which agents are going to use to take the PFAS out of water. They are changing the water filters. You can sit there and smile all you want, but the bottom line is, when I would go to these meetings, I never heard a thing about bad water when we had bad water. Bad water. Seven years now, we haven't had those water problems for 7 years.
Little test tubes we got.
But for years, we had boil your water. For 7 years, we haven't. So don't say that I'm not for clean water. But you can get a quarter page in the Creedmoor News. You just write a letter and they'll give you a quarter page editorial space. Archie should write a good thing. And again, I'm not against Archie. I believe Archie believes what he believes. And I'm not going to go any further that we just believe doing it different. And if John Mayo says, I don't know what Ed Gleason is thinking, he's probably not thinking at all. Believe me, pal, I'm thinking. Thanks.
Mr. Mayor, can you just let me go for Mayor Pro Tem? because he said something?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, I have a great deal of respect for you. I don't take anything personally. I'm sorry if you're taking anything personally. Okay, it's what I believe, and what I believe is what I believe. I just want to interject that. Thank you.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Thank you, sir. I want to straighten out a few things before I get into my
Straighten out.
things. First of all, the picture that was on the screen is not a picture from the city of Creedmoor.
I said that.
That is a picture from the city of
I
Button.
said that.
Please don't interrupt.
We are not putting a new filter in the water plant. We are replacing the filter media, which should have been done when the board approved the upgrade to the water plant back in 2018 or 19. It was before I got elected. My first meeting, we voted for the plant upgrade. But the filter medium was not part of that contract, and it should have been. We are going to have a meeting Tuesday night, which I will not be at. That filter media is going to cost an estimate $700,000 to change. It should have been done when the plant was upgraded, but it was not. And I've mentioned that at my Sigwasa meeting. Denying a need for anybody. How dare we deny a need for anybody? I was elected to represent everybody in Creedmoor, not just a certain class of people, and not just a certain income level of people. If we can't give water filters to everybody in Creedmoor, we can't give them to anybody. That's not fair. And the low to medium income people, first of all, have got to be identified. Secondly, you've got to identify that they're Sigwasa customers. Sigwasa is not going to give us that information. It's privileged and confidential. So how are we going to verify that we have given water filters to people who are on the Sigwasa water system? A lot of the low to medium income families that we have are not taxpayers. And I've spoken to several taxpayers in the past 2 weeks, in stores, in hair salons, at the community center, at the grocery store, and they're not happy that our tax rates just went up. They're paying more taxes, and they're not going to get a water filter. And some people who are not taxpayers may. I don't know that for sure. I've talked to Kevin about it. That decision hasn't been made yet. So when I get into it, and Commissioner Wilkins, I need these answers from you. I need to know, how do you identify these people? How do you identify that how do you verify, how do you guarantee that they're Sigwasa customers? Some people will say you're violating their privacy. People don't even want to present an ID to vote. So they're not going to show you their Sigwasa bills, and they're not going to show you their tax bills. Who's going to install them? Like Commissioner Albright said, when the filters need to be changed, who's going to do that? I have a question for Kevin. Kevin, the city of Creedmoor will have a liability issue for this at some point if somebody says, we put the filters in and so-and-so died and we think it's your filter. That's a liability issue for the city of Creedmoor, and I'm all about making sure Creedmoor doesn't face any more liability than they already have. I want to know about the water filter that we have not even discussed. What type of water filter? What does it filter out? What doesn't it filter out? And how many we've compared? Because this board has not been provided with any research information, none whatsoever. So we don't know where this information is actually coming from. I know that my heart is rooted in this community. I was not born here, But I've lived here for over 20 years. I shop here, I walk down Main Street, I wave to my neighbors, I've known them for years, I drive Wilton Avenue, I'm concerned about everything in this community, and that is why I begged to be put on the Sigwasa board. I asked to be put on the Sigwasa board because I cared about the water. I didn't know if I could do anything about it, but I wanted to give it a try. And since I've been on the board with Sigwasa, we've done a hydraulic model of the city of Creedmoor. We found out that there was no chlorine coming out of the Lake Rogers pump station. The machinery had never, ever been connected. Never. And we had to pay to have it replaced, and that was over a $300,000 project to do that. Then we got the notification of PFAS, and we have, if anybody Ed was at the meeting, he knows, the chart we showed on the studies and the pilot testing. The PFAS at some times of this year is not much higher than the 4 that the government wants us to get to. It's not that bad at some point. Iron and manganese, we know that the pipes in the ground in Butner and in Creedmoor are old. But to tear all those pipes up is not conducive to not raising rates. I can't not raise rates and do million-dollar projects. The money has to come from somewhere. And by the way, the governor signed notice did give money to Sigwasa. People were looking at it listed under Creedmoor, and it's not the Creedmoor water system. It was listed there under Sigwasa. It was there. They did give us money. And know that Sigwasa has done more grant applications since I've been on the board and since Scott Schroeder's been executive director than ever before. So we fight every day to make the water quality better at Sigwasa. And there was a picture that came out on Nextdoor, and when Commissioner Gleason sent it to us, and it had already been sent to Scott, the person who had the problem did not reach out to Sigwasa, so they had to try and figure out where that person lived to try and address the issue. They still have not gotten in the house to talk to the homeowner to find out, because the homeowner won't call Sigwasa. There's a customer questionnaire on the Sigwasa website, and it's where you put your water quality issues, and Sigwasa will do a regimen to check those areas. They will reach out to you. They will talk to you. He's finally spoken today to the homeowner, and they are trying to work on the problem, and the homeowner has said that the water's gotten better. So reaching out to Sigwasa is the only way to get it fixed. The city of Creedmoor sold the water system to Sigwasa, and they own it. The city of Creedmoor is not financially responsible, and if you were, why did we move the $1 million of the enterprise money into our general fund? If it was so concerning, we should have given the money to Sigwasa. We should have done it years ago, but it wasn't. But we just did a couple months ago and moved that money into our general fund. And if we really truly wanted Sigwasa to make the water quality better, and we were going to spend $1 million, give it to them. They are the experts on the water. They're the ones who know what's necessary. They're the ones who know what projects. There's a capital improvement fund project list that goes out 10 years. And every single thing we can do to improve water quality is there. We are working on it, and finances dictate how fast we move on this. It's not fast enough for everybody because the system is 80 years old. There's so many things that have to be fixed or replaced, but it does take time. And I know that time is not what people want. But if we fix the PFAS in the water, Is every female in the city of Creedmoor, Butner, and on the Seguasa water line going to stop using mascara, stop using lipstick, stop using household cleaners, stop using Teflon pans? I could go on, but I'm not gonna. There are many, 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 many sources of PFAS, and it is not only the Seguasa water. Today, I got an email from Scott saying that the water filter media will be on Tuesday's agenda. The estimated cost is $700,000, which we didn't put in the budget, so a budget amendment will need to be done. Know that Seguasa can raise rates at any time they need to. That's the law. We didn't raise them this year. We are trying very hard to use what we have, to apply for grants that we can get, and use what we can. I can't say this any more plain than I'm saying it right now. But I took an oath to represent everybody in Creedmoor, everybody. And if we are going to give water filters to anyone, we need to give them to everyone. But we haven't compared water filters. I don't know what these ones will filter out, what they won't filter out. There's not been any study or information provided to this board with that information. So I can't make an educated decision on this. I don't know how many more times we're going to talk about it, but I'm really a little disappointed that we didn't discuss this the first time the right way, and we've gotten to this point. And you're right, we always work together. This board has had more unanimous votes than ever since I've been on this board. We always agree. Then if we don't agree, we don't fight about it. I have nothing bad to say about you, Commissioner Wilkins, but I can't get behind the water filters for some and not for all. Sorry.
May I go, Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry?
Done? May I go?
Let me go.
Oh, yes, sir.
You wanted me to start, let me finish. I've listened to these folks talk about how long they've lived in Creedmoor. And as far as I'm concerned, they're rookies. Because I wasn't born here as the city manager was, but we've lived here since 1962. And there has always been issues with the water, as they stated. And I can't really say anything more than what the commissioners have pointed out here. The Band-Aid comment did probably come from me. And I know more about Band-Aids. In fact, 5 or 10 years ago, I could have told you what antibiotics you take to prevent that infection from happening. But the Band-Aid comment was that we were temporarily going to fix a problem that was going to continue. Low, moderate income, if we give them filters, more than likely what will happen, unless they get extra money to replace the filters, they're going to leave that one filter in there for as long as they can, before somebody comes and takes it out. And it's not going to be effective, and then they're going to be upset or could have health problems due to that. I agree with my commissioners, though, that I wish we could give filters to everybody. I really do. We aren't financially able to, and at some point, I guess we may not be legally able to. We sold our water system. Former Mayor Moss is sitting here, and I don't fault you. I think that was the right, I didn't think so then, but I think that was the right thing to do. For to benefit Creedmoor was to give it to a system that could do the improvements, could do the things that the city of Creedmoor may or may not have been able to afford. And we also, I know Commissioner Wilkins has presented, and him and Mr. Mayo have presented arguments about one particular filter that may or may not, from what I saw in the ad, doesn't filter out manganese or iron. Plus, this board, if I'm not mistaken, and the attorney can correct me, we have to entertain 3 different bids for something like that in order to purchase it. We can't just say, this is the company I want, and we're going to go with it. So, showing us one alternative shows us that there is a filter out there. but it doesn't get us to where we would need to be with a variety of filters. And like Commissioner Kaczynski said, if I could win the lottery and give money to Creedmoor for water filters that everybody could get, I'd be more than happy to do it. But to assume that this city can afford to do that and install them and replace them is just not a possibility at this point. And then I would also like to assume, and I'll ask Commissioner Wilkins this, have you looked, and you probably have, but I'm going to ask anyway, have you looked into grants and that sort of thing to provide money to provide these filters?
I'll answer you when you're done, sir.
Huh?
Are you done? Are you finished?
Well, I was just asking that one question first, just a yes or no.
No.
Okay. And there could be money out there. There could be money that we could obtain, but I don't know that there'd be enough money through grants to give everybody a water filter. And I'm sorry that some can afford it and some can't, but we're using taxpayer dollars. And those taxpayers, if you're going to do something, for one, you should try to do it for everybody, especially if it's for a citywide problem. So at that point, yes, I did talk about the Band-Aid because I knew it would be a temporary fix. But I wish we could do something. We could raise taxes again, and we could probably fund it that way. But again, it's not our water system. We're helping our citizens, but we're not doing anything to stop the problem. And that's where the concentration needs to be. That's where the money needs to go in order for us to stop the problem at the source. And until we can get that done, we're going to continue to have problems with this. So I want to thank Commissioner Wilkins for bringing this up. I was pleased that we were going to get this discussion out so everybody would know where this board stands on the issue. I would say I would appreciate, though, if some people make comments about what we are or aren't doing, that they would come talk to us. Just come ask me. I've had several people say, well, the mayor said this, the mayor did that. They all know who I am. Come talk to me. Call me up. Write me a letter. I don't care. But your opinion of what I said may not be exactly what I meant when I said it. I will be happy to talk to anybody who wants to talk, give my opinion. The issue with being mayor is that you do not have a vote, but I am allowed to express my opinion. So that's where I am, and I will turn it back over to Commissioner Wilkins.
Thank you, sir. A couple, I don't know how. The Energy Burden and Emissions Recreation Program does identify low to moderate income households for Creedmoor. Not only for Creedmoor, but for Durham and all of Granville County. So that would be a way to help identify those households.
Who was that again?
ERB, Energy Burden and Emissions Reduction Program, is for energy. But you can use that information to identify those households. So that's how you would do that. Secondly, all the other filters, I believe, Mr. Attorney, just correct me, stop me if I shouldn't, we can enter into interlocal agreement with Saguaso to provide the other citizens of Creedmoor. That would cover 100% of the citizens of Creedmoor.
Can I ask, have you talked to Saguaso about entering into that agreement?
No, sir. First of all, we got to get the board to okay it.
Well, I have various members. I won't say the whole board, various members. Mm-hmm. They don't want to do anything like that. I mean, I'm just, because that has floated out.
That's their cross to bear.
Yeah, but, you know, to sit there and say we can do it when
we can.
Blatantly.
We can if they cooperate. If they don't cooperate, that's their cross to bear.
Okay.
Secondly, I have no political agenda. I'm not running for office in November. None whatsoever. So that statement was made.
You're not posting on Facebook, you're not.
I'm not. When I post, it's a picture of my beautiful wife. And that's it.
And I won't argue that one with you.
Thank you, sir.
And I am running for office, but I won't say that had anything to do with it.
So my thing is, if we could get the board to okay the expenditure, then we can look into how to identify what Saguaso will do or won't do. But I'm asking, let's make the effort to at least okay the allocation And Mr. City Manager, I hate to put this on your shoulders because it'll probably fall on you. Let the city manager begin to investigate the program I mentioned, any other ventures, to identify who and why someone should get a filter. I never said we would install filters. I said purchase the filters.
But you know.
Hold on, let me finish. If someone doesn't want to buy an additional filter for their home, as the Mayor Pro Tem said, that's up to them. And the burden's off us. We gave you an option. You chose to misuse it. Please don't say anything else to us. Let's give them a fighting chance initially, is all I'm asking.
Well, the part I would kind of disagree is with anything that we spend city money on, we try to research it, find out what we need to do, how much it's going to cost, and that type of thing before we appropriate funds for it.
And let's get a vote to just do it without appropriation.
But we don't need a vote for that. We can just look into it.
So can we ask the city manager to look into it?
I will ask the city manager.
Who said no?
I did.
No, I will ask the
Thank
city
you, Mr.
manager to
Mayor.
consider it.
I just want to identify who said no. Go ahead, sir.
But, really, that is not under his purview.
Right.
As far as the Sigwasa goes, the person you need to ask is Commissioner Way and Commissioner Kuczynski, because they are our representatives on that board.
But he can look into the low and low moderate income, getting that information that he can do, has nothing to do with Sigwasa. So I'm asking to allow him to do that. That'll be a starting point. Then we'll have the information and come back for an allocation if necessary. The board would agree.
I will take it to the city manager and discuss what he thinks it would entail, and then go from there. But he and I will sit down and discuss.
Outstanding. I'm done, sir.
Okay? Commissioner Allwright, anything else before I move to the next person?
No, I feel like the information that he wants the city manager to take care of, this is his baby, he should do it. And he just got some kind of information that he could figure out what the low to medium income was, so that, I think that should be his baby to take care of, and not the city manager's.
We'll pay the city manager to find things out first. We're gonna let him do that. Don't drop it back on me, please, Commissioner.
But that brings me to, where do they get that data from? The low to moderate income? Are they pulling it off tax records?
I'm not sure.
Okay, because there's some areas I know it's been pointed out to me, like the apartments. They may be low income, but their water bill is done through their rent. So you don't know.
No, right.
Who, and that brings up another issue. There may be a lot of people that are low to moderate income that, because of where they live or how they pay the bills, would not show up, and that wouldn't be fair to them either.
We don't know that until we
Exactly.
find out.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Not to belabor a point, but it was brought up about the enterprise fund. The enterprise fund was to take care of our water system. And when the enterprise fund, after the city sold the water system to Sigwasa, the enterprise fund was in our coffers. In 2016, a commissioner on this board made a motion that the Empire Fund money of $1 million be given to Sigwasa for clean water. Clean water. They threw him off the board and replaced him. I won't say who replaced him, but he was replaced. She was replaced. Another commissioner said he wanted to give him $2 million. They voted for clean water, they voted that down and threw him off the board in 2016, public record.
Okay.
When somebody says, I changed my mind, and believe me, I have two wives. I've had two wives, so I know I changed my mind at some point in my life. I had two wonderful wives, let me make part of the record. And yes, I can change my mind about certain things, but I don't think I could change my mind about wanting clean water. I always wanted clean water. Always wanted clean water. But that's not going to make me change my mind in the fact that I'm responsible
party in this city to make sure that our police have what they need for the whole community to protect our citizens, all of our citizens. And I'm not gonna say I changed my mind on that, because now I'm for clean water. Well, we've had water problems in Creedmoor since 1962.
At least.
I've only knock wood, I really haven't had much water problems since I've been here since 2007. However, my mind would not be changed from 2016 when I said nothing about clean water, to now all of a sudden, clean water is extremely important to me. It's always been important to me, and I've showed it, time and time again. Thank you.
Commissioner Kuczynski, any other response?
I have a question, and my question is, water filters were brought up to the Seguasa board when you were on the board, Commissioner Wilkins, and I don't know if there was ever a vote on the water filters at the Seguasa board when you were on. Can you tell me?
I don't think so, no, not that I recall.
So, if clean water was important back then, and Mr. Mayo suggested water filters at that time, why wasn't it approved by Seguasa then? I'm trying, I mean, you don't have to answer me, I'm trying to understand why, when Mr. Mayo brought this up the last time he brought this up, that it wasn't dealt with at that time. They knew that the water plant had to be upgraded, and they knew the water quality wasn't as good as it needed to be, and I'm trying to understand why it wasn't done at that time. But my next question is for Kevin.
Before you do that, in case y'all couldn't understand, she wasn't saying Mr. Mayor, she was saying Mr. Mayo.
Mayo, I
just kind of wanted to mention that out there, because I wasn't
Did it sound
involved.
like Mayor?
It did to me, but
sorry.
I don't have my hearing aids in, so.
Kevin, explain the legality of this whole idea to us. What is going to be required for us to do any of this?
Well, I think that I think the bottom line is that I think we need more information to know what legal framework any sort of program would fall under, right? So, when the city sold, the infrastructure to Seguasa, the city likely gave up some of its authority to provide water services. So we would have to figure out under what statutory legal framework the city could provide an alternative program. We then have to determine among all of those, I say all of those, I don't know how many different options there might be, but there may be multiple. For any option, statutory or legal option we could identify, we'd have to figure out what the requirements of those options would be, the legal requirements, what sort of things we would have to comply with, and then we'd have to determine how the city would go about complying with those requirements, how feasible it is, what the budget for any of those programs or projects would be. The bottom line is that I think there are a lot of legal questions that would need to be answered before we can move the ball forward here. I certainly, not my place to weigh in on policy questions, but I will say that I think that there are options available to the city, but there are also a lot of questions about how those different options would work, and what the requirements for those different options would be, and how the city, would comply with those different options, different requirements.
So in addition to the cost of these filters, we are now going to use unlimited resources of the city manager and probably legal fees. So there's more than $750,000 going into this project. And I agree with Commissioner Albright, and I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, but this is not his project. This man has got enough work to do on a daily basis, and I don't believe that he should be wrangled in to do this research when it's not his project. I respect the city manager a lot more than that. He's got a staff to run, a city to run, and this is, in my opinion, it's beyond his scope. But, Mr. Mayor, you make your decision. I just wanted you to know how I feel about it.
That's fine. He and I will sit down and see what it requires and kind of go from there. All right, anything else?
No, sir, not for me.
Okay, Mr. City Manager, if I'm not mistaken, it's time for your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. The month of July, VC3 opened 69 tickets and closed 72. McAdams and Company continue to make progress on the 10-year Parks and Recreation Comprehensive System-Wide Master Plan. Focus group meetings began this week. Groups have been divided into 3 categories: active adults, trails, greenways, conservation, and South Granville Athletic Association. McAdams will bring an update to the board in the next few months. In September, what I've been told. So you'll get an update from them as how this is going, and it's expected to be wrapped up by the end of the year as they projected. Following last year's installation of fiber optic service to City Hall, VC3 conducted a cloud performance evaluation of our overall services to identify any possible areas for improvement and to ensure our cloud resources were being optimized for performance, scalability, security, and cost efficiency. One such improvement took place on Friday of this past week, August the 1st, when the migration of our VOA servers in Creedmoor to a VC3 data center located in Atlanta, Georgia. After a couple of weeks of pilot testing to ensure everything is working, and it has been since this week since they made this test move, the virtual servers will go live. The major advantage to making this migration is that VC3 will not have to physically come to Creedmoor to troubleshoot, maintain, and service this equipment. It can be maintained and repaired 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, by technicians at the data center. In the event of an emergency, they have power failure, they've got emergency generators, and even the ability to transfer the entire server system, if they had problems at the data center, to another center, could be located in Colorado or wherever. They continue to provide uninterrupted service and support to the city of Creedmoor. So that's a great step. During the June 3rd budget work session and adoption of the FY26 budget, staff committed to revisiting the city's fee and rate schedule as compared to other surrounding recreation facilities. Our new Recreation Director, Chastity McCurdy, and I have met this week to review some of those options and discuss what our neighbors are doing and what they're charging. A recommended adjustment will be forthcoming to the board in the near future. And lastly, I'd like to read a thank you note I received from Families Living Violence Free to the board. FLVF would like to extend our gratitude for your generous monetary donations to our organization. Your support plays a crucial role in our efforts to assist those affected by domestic violence. Thank you once again for your kindness and generosity. Sincerely, FLVF. Mayor, that concludes my remarks.
Is there any questions for the city manager based on his report? All right, we'll move on down to department head reports.
They're all enclosed in the package unless you have questions about an item.
On the agenda, I don't want to miss anything.
Yes, sir.
All right, Sigwatch report, since Commissioner Way is not here, Commissioner Kuczynski.
So, as I've stated, the filter media, we put out a bid for the filter media to be replaced. The design was done, and then we put a bid out for it. And the first round of bids, we only got one. We put it out again a second time, and from what I understand, that one came back again. So the board on Tuesday night will be voting to go forward with that contractor, I believe. We did get notification from the DEQ on another grant that we applied for. I don't have the results of that, but if it's an IATA grant, then we probably will get it, because we usually always do. That's all I have. Next meeting is Tuesday night at 6 o'clock at Butler Town Hall.
Mr. Wilkins, we'll start with you. Commissioner's report.
Thank you, sir. despite the not being very popular, I will continue to fight for water quality for the citizens of Greenmore. That's all I have, sir.
All right, Commissioner Albright.
I haven't attended any events. Summer, it's kind of slow, but I just wanted to say I'm kind of really proud of the Hometown Hero banners. I've noticed there's some more beautiful faces up there on our poles, and I kind of want to put a little pin on my shoulder because that was one of my suggestions. I know we worked really hard all together on it to make it a wonderful thing for people to remember their hometown heroes who are our hometown heroes as well, and thank them all for serving our country, and just having Steve who did all the work and the materials and all those good things so we can enjoy those things. And let's see, there was something else. I just excited to see our field being used down at the community center. I know they had a movie night, and I'm sure that was a big success, so that's one of my hoorahs too. I was glad to see that. So that's all I have.
Oh, then I'm forgetful. Went to the last Iguasa meeting. We'll be attending the ECU Honors Seminar and Economic Development for Granville County leaders. That'll be tomorrow in our Willow Oak room. I want to thank the city manager and the rest of the team for finally getting our emergency response plan up and running. And again, it's much bigger than I anticipated, so going through it, because I'm sure I'm going to have some remarks of things that I think we could upgrade a little bit or put a little more information in. I attended a very interesting meeting. I'll have to ask Commissioner Kaczynski what day it was, and the mayor was there too. Campo meeting where
July 30th.
they explained to us, we're in trouble. Is did they answer any questions? Yeah, they said, you're in trouble. We have millions and millions and millions of dollars of work that needs to be done on our roads and infrastructure, and if we take 100% of that, we can fund about 8%. 8%. 8% of 100%. So we are talking about an age where we've gotten ourselves here because we didn't take care of ourselves. We didn't do things as they should have been done when they should have been done, and now we got to do a lot, and there's just not enough money there to do it. So we have to understand, and this meeting really made me understand. And a county meeting last night made me understand some things too. We're very fortunate in the city of Creedmoor to have a code enforcement officer. So he rides through our village and our city all the time, and he finds problems. And we know about the problem as soon as he finds it, and it's brought to our attention, and we work on it. We don't wait 4 years and then all of a sudden somebody makes a complaint. And then man, I was at a meeting last night, there were a lot of mad farmers there, and I can understand their frustration. And we don't want to do that here. But I just want to make everybody aware that, yeah, we do need to upgrade our police station. We have a fire department that's free. Our firemen work for free. They need a new building, they need at least an upgrade of their building. They're all our citizens. We care. We really do care as a group, and all of us, all 4 of us that are here, about our citizens, and doing what we can do with what we have. But my grandmother taught me that trying to make chicken salad out of chicken bones, and they don't even give you any mayonnaise, it's hard to do, it's hard work. And again, I hope we continue as a board to produce, get along, and I hope we all go home tonight and have a great evening. Thank you.
Commissioner Kaczynski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to everybody for their reports. I also attended the Campos North Falls Lake Area Study for elected officials, and Mayor Pro Tem Gleason is exactly right. They said the request for projects is over $102 million, and right now they have 78 million. So his math was absolutely correct. That's what they started the meeting off with. So when you start the meeting off with, we have no money. So we know you want it, but we have no money. It was kind of downhill from there. But they did talk about the Hillsborough Street intersection at that meeting and also said that they had approved a traffic light, but we're waiting on funding. It was very well attended by all the mayors, and Mayor Wheeler and Mayor Pro Tem Gleason and myself were there, and I thought it was a really good meeting, and we had a lot of good exchange of ideas, and my idea is mass transit. We need bus transportation. We could eliminate some of the traffic problems if we had bus transportation, and I suggested that 10 years ago, but it never came to be. So, you know, the roads wouldn't get beat up so much, traffic wouldn't be so bad. There's a lot of good things about transit. So that came up a few times. I want to remind everybody that the music festival is September 20th, and I know that all of our staff will be there, and I hope that all of our commissioners will attend this year. T-shirts will begin next week, and they have been sponsored by Sunnyside this year, and I can't wait to see them. Bruce Medina will be our host from Channel WTVD. We need volunteers for the donkey booth, so if you want to express your fellow citizens, especially the children. I did it last year, it's 45 minutes. I know that the chief and I are absolutely not doing it this year. He couldn't take it, his legs are too long, that donkey booth. And me, these children tell me so many times, I say, and I just walk this next few days. I mean, I will do it, I have to. But if you want people to know who you are, then something to do. You will see people you've never met before. And if you want volunteers in Donkey Booth, or I know you're going to sign up, so and let them know. Thursday night is pickleball for our working parents at the community center, and they enjoy it very much because they can get there on in the daytime. So if you want to play pickleball with people who have day jobs, that's the place to do it. I want you to know that our mayor, which is not in the job description of the mayor, has helped a lot of citizens with what I continue to holler at him and tell him, stop mowing people's lawns all the time. But he does. He mows their lawns. He helps citizens that are, I know, I'm more you're not getting. No, nothing going on. But he is extremely dedicated to this community and will mow lawns, and I'm amazed. Carl, I have a question for you all, because this meeting tonight was about two items that I want to know about the sidewalks, Carl. We've been waiting for the sidewalks, and I know that in your report, you say by the end of August we'll have a design.
I thought you were going to forget to ask me tonight.
Because I have on my phone for tonight, and that's why I'm asking.
So the firm, Summit Engineering, they submitted their draft feasibility study for the 4 sidewalk segments. We reviewed it, sent it back to them with some comments. There's a couple of minor mistakes, then some other things that we had questions about or things that we wanted them to include in it. So in a couple of weeks, I would expect them, they'd have those revisions made and have it back to us. So that's a feasibility study. It shows the 4 sections, 2 alternates, the one they recommend, and then it'll have a cost estimate also with a breakdown of all those things that go into it, and so we can evaluate how we want to proceed. And one thing that I asked them to also provide us was, what are the chances of any one of these segments being considered for grant money? And it could be extremely rough, like this one has 0 chance. Well, it's possible for this one. just that level of information could be helpful, or ranking them. We don't know if it's high or low, but this one beats that one beats that one, that one beats that one. That way we know that if we want to pursue the bottom one, we'll have to fund it ourselves, but there could be funds available for one of the other ones, so. I'm reviewing the 60% submittal right now, and I'll have comments back to them in a week or so, but those plans are coming along nicely.
These are projects that the majority of our citizens are very, very concerned about, and I will try to get them a update on that.
They're probably all going to come in about the same time, and we'll plenty to talk about in a month or so. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Wilkins, I was not going to say a word so that we could finish the day like this. But I thought I'd point that out.
Can I make one final statement?
Yeah, well, go ahead.
So there's no misconception, anybody out there, anybody listening. We had a lot of spirited discussion this evening, but make no mistake. We can agree to disagree, and we will still come together to work together for every citizen of Creedmoor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. A couple of things here. I attended the Campo meeting at the Expo Center. It was very, very interesting. I'm a representative on the Campo board, so some of it I had already seen. And we're in districts. We're in the 5th district along, and then below that is right, but it should be 60 down the road, too. And they contain Durham and some of the really big municipalities, so it kind of filters down by the biggest place, so that's the reason we're having trouble. I will be attending the ECU Summit tomorrow. I want to mention the Hillsborough Street stoplights have been approved by the appropriate folks. However, DOT is still trying to find money for that, so we don't know when that's going to happen. As far as Commissioner Kaczynski's dunking booth, the highlight for me was watching the sheriff go down and up and down and up and down and up. He taught right much junk to those kids so they figured out exactly how to hit that button. Let's see, and I believe that pretty much has it. I want to take just a quick, I noticed there's some new faces in here that we haven't ever seen before, or we've only seen once. Thank you all for coming tonight. Because I'd love to see this full every night. There's too many times, and I'm especially seeing it now, there's misinformation coming out there. Amanda does an excellent job because she takes everything and knows what we say and reports it. But Facebook is. When it comes to meetings like this and what politicians say and what people say, you always have to take what's on Facebook with a grain of salt. But again, thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. Is there anything else before the board?
One more. I want to.
We have well, that's not on there. Oh, it is. Okay, we have a closed session tonight. At this time, I will entertain a motion to go into closed session. Motion is made by Commissioner Wilkins.
Mr. Mayor, I have one more thing to say.
Okay.
I want to say thank you to Amanda Dixon, who has worked for the Butner Creedmoor newspaper for many, many years. And tonight is her last time representing the newspaper at this meeting. Thank you, Amanda.
All right. Commissioner Wilkins has made a motion to go into closed session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We are gone into closed session.